Hello and welcome back to My Own Worst Enemy. Time to start turn number 10, the final turn of Triumph and Tragedy. The year is 1945. A season marker is on the new year. And we begin this final turn. But before we do, just a quick recap. The Soviets have pushed all the way into Poland. They flipped Poland now to Soviet control. They're threatening Berlin. The West is just sitting there. They're going to wait this out. They're going to try to win peacefully. They're really strong, but they haven't attacked anybody, so they're going to probably just finish up the game with that in mind. So let's go ahead and get started. Victory check. No one's won yet. This will be determined at the end of this turn. The decks are reshuffled. Peace dividends. Again, the West will be the only ones to receive this, and they really want... I don't know if there's a 2 in here or not. I don't even know if they go as high as 2, maybe 3, but they definitely want a 1. They don't want a 0. So peace dividend, the final peace dividend of the game for the West is a 1. Better than 0. All right, set that aside. So peace dividends are out, and then turn order. So let's get the turn order determined. We'll roll a d6 to see who goes first and what direction it'll go. It's a 3, so it's going to go to the West, and it's going to go in a counterclockwise fashion. So we'll start with the West, and we will go right into the production phase. So the West is at 14 production points, so we'll give them a 14, and let's see what they want to do. And this being their last turn, they're not too concerned this turn with building up military units. I think, honestly, what they're going to do is just buy cards. And I think they're going to buy 10 investment cards. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do they want to buy 10? 9, 8. I'm going to say they're going to buy 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, they're going to buy 10. They're going to buy 10. No, they're going to get 8. So 8 investment cards. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So they're strictly buying cards. That's how they're going to end the game, through cards. They're hoping to get, maybe they can get some more population from Persia, from Bulgaria. Well, they can't get, well, they could get it from Bulgaria. No, they can't, because that's only a town. Maybe the Low Countries, who knows? So that's what they're going to do. That's their production. Then we're going to go to the Soviets. So the Soviets currently have 14 production points. So let's put 14 back on the D20. And they're going to do this a lot differently than what the West just did. They're going to start upgrading units, and they're going to upgrade 1, 2, 3. So these 3 units are upgraded. And they are going to upgrade this one. This one. This one. This one. So where are we at? So that's 7, taking us down to 7. They're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 action cards. We're down to 3. We're going to upgrade this one to 3. Down to 2. And they're just going to upgrade these last 2 units with those 2. In the hopes that they can make one final push towards Berlin. I've got a feeling that's not going to be so easy to do, though. And finally, we come down to the Germans, who are looking at 12 as their production. So they're going to start spending that. So we're going to upgrade this infantry. And they're going to upgrade this infantry. So that is 1, 2. They're going to upgrade this armor. They're down to 9. They are going to buy two infantry, put in Berlin. Markers on those to show they have deployed those. We're now down to 7. They will upgrade an air, so that'll take us down to 6. They're going to buy an armored unit, put that into Berlin. Now we're down to 5. We're going to buy another armored unit. Down to 4. And they're going to pick up 3 action cards. And for the last point, they're going to upgrade this other air unit. All right, so that is it for production. And now we're going to move into the government phase. And we will start with the West, who have just a ton of cards in their hands. So let me get those organized. They have been waiting to do this. They're going to play the 1940 science card, which says they can pair this with any tech listed below to get that tech. Well, they want atomic research level 2. So they now have atomic research level 2. And I will set those cards aside. And we will go, well, where did my current turn marker go? So that was the West, and we're moving now down to Germany. So let's see, Germany, they are just going to pass. They're just holding on at this point. So the Soviets now, they're going to play a Latin America card. Well, let's see, do they want to do that? I'm just seeing there's an X there. Yeah, they want to do that. So they're going to play that Latin America cards. Now we're going to go back to, well, let's see, are we going the right direction? Yeah, we're going this way. So we're back to the West. So the West is going to play a coup card. So it says remove all rival influence from one minor nation. So they're going to remove this last Soviet marker from Spain. That's what they're going to do there. Put those down and come back now down to Germany. Pass. And then to the Soviets. Pass. So now it's strictly just the West playing cards, because the Soviets and the Germans are just going to pass from here on out. So let's see what the last push here in the government phase for the West is going to be. So they're going to spend 6 points to increase their industry. So that'll get it up to 16. And then it's going to be pass, back to the West. And they are going to play the Bulgaria card that they're holding. Pass, back to the West. The West is going to play a Spain card. All right, back to the Germans, and no, they're going to pass. Back to the Soviets, they're going to pass. Back to the West, they're going to play another Spain card. Back to the Germans, back to the Soviets, pass. Back to the West, they're going to play another Spain card. Back to the Germans. Now let's see if they want to counter that. If they can counter that. They're going to pass. Then back to the Soviets. And the Soviets are going to pass. So back to the West. And the West is going to play... They're going to play a Turkey card. Back to the Germans. I think they're going to pass. Let me double check. They're going to pass. I think the Soviets will pass again. They will. So back to the West on their diplomatic push. They're going to play a Persia card. Back to the Germans. What do they want to do here? They are going to pass. Well, actually, they're going to Nope, they're going to pass. Back to the USSR. They're going to pass. Back to the West. Their diplomatic push still in full swing. And they are going to play a Finland card. Back to the Germans, who are going to pass. Back to the Soviets, who are, well, they're going to pass. Back to the West. And the West is going to play a Latin America card. Back to the Germans. They are going to pass. Back to the Soviets again. Feeling the pressure from all this diplomatic action West is doing. They're going to pass. Back to the West. The West will play their Yugoslavia card. Germany's going to pass. USSR is going to pass. And finally, the West will pass. So that's going to end the government phase. Let's do our hand compliance size. We'll start with the West. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They can hold 8, so they're good. The Germans have 1, 2, 3, 4, so they're good. Sure, the Soviets are good. 1, 2, 3, 4. They got 4 as well. So let's resolve diplomacy. We have one Latin America card out. Soviets, that's going to cancel with the one that the West has out. So those are, we'll just stick them here. Those are discarded. And now we are going to look at what the West has done. So let's start with Bulgaria. No one has any cards out except the West, so none of these can be canceled. So Bulgaria is here. That's going to flip Bulgaria to a satellite of the West. And it will mean another resource. And I don't think another population. No, but it is another resource. So the resources now stand at 20. The next 3 are Spain. No one can counter this, so all 3 of these are going to Spain, flipping it to a satellite of the West. So that's going to increase their population is going to go up 1, plus Barcelona is another 1, so 2. So their population goes up by 2. And Spain is now a satellite of the West. The next one is Turkey. So there's no markers in Turkey. So it's just an influence marker into Turkey. The next one is Persia. And Persia is now a satellite of the West. So that's going to give them another population point. So they're now at 17 population. Finland is the next card. So that's going to remove the Soviet influence there. Finally, Yugoslavia. I'm going to remove the Nazi influence in Yugoslavia. And we can move the discard pile back to where it was. So that is we resolved the diplomacy. Everybody's hand size is in compliance, and that is going to end the government phase and take us into the spring phase. And so we start with the government phase. We start with the West, and well, all they have left in their hand is technology cards, or investment cards, I should say. So they're not going to be able to do anything. So we're going to go now down to the Germans, and they are going to play. So we are in the spring. Do they have a spring card? Yeah, they do have one, so they're going to play it. It'd be crazy not to at this point in the game. And now we go to the Soviets. I'm pretty sure also want to play a spring command card. And they will. All right, so now we resolve the cards for the spring, and it's the Soviets that get to go first because they have a G, which is lower than an M for the Germans. So what do the Soviets want to do here? They would love to take Berlin. Let's see, Berlin has got just a massive units and a fortress in there, which the Germans probably should have upgraded. Question is, how many units can the Soviets attack Berlin with? So that is a river border that crosses the whole way, right? Yes. That's going to limit them to 2 units crossing the border. Down here, it's 4, so 2 could come in from down here. I think that's it. Could try coming in from the sea, but again, they wouldn't be able to participate in combat this round. But it may be worth having somebody in there just in case the battle continues into another round. So that's a possibility. Do have LST, so 2 units could do that. You know what? They're going to go in. So they're going to, let's say they're going to bring across the border. They're going to bring in the armor. And again, I really wish I had a battle board here, but that's all right. We're going to make it work. I'll just put them up here. We know they're all in going into Berlin. So if they're going to cross with 2 of these units, so an infantry and an armor is coming in. So that's 2 moves. We have infantry back here. Could go 1. We've already crossed the border though. Well, he can't get into there. Maybe I should have done this. Maybe I want to rethink this. These border limits hurt when you're trying to invade. Again, like I said, what's in Czechoslovakia here? 1 city? So that's worth a population of 2. I don't think that's going to do them much good, though, at the end of the game when we're counting up our victory points. I should have increased the industry, although it still wouldn't compare to what the West is doing over there. So let's hold on here. Maybe I don't want to do that. Could bring 2 units into Czechoslovakia, only being able to move 6 units in these border limits. I just don't think we're going to be able to do it. We do have... can use the LSTs, but that's going to delay it. I'd have to get some really good rolls to hope they survive, to get the LSTs to actually land, and then the next round, if there anybody's left in there to attack. But maybe I want to do that. What the heck? It's the last turn. So let's go ahead and do that. We will do this. We'll move the armor and the infantry into Berlin. And then using LSTs, that's going to let us take 2 forces and invade. So I can take this 1 out of Königsberg, and I'm going to stand it upright to show that it cannot engage in combat this turn. This infantry unit in the Baltic states could also do that. So go to Baltic Sea, land in Berlin. And let me double check to make sure that's a valid move. Yeah, they can land in Berlin, but they won't be able to contribute to combat this turn. So we've moved 4 totals. We have 2 left that we can move. And we're not engaging into Warsaw because that's our territory now. So I can move, I'm not worried about border limits anymore here. So I can move 2 more units into Warsaw, hoping that next turn, again, if this continues, that I can get them into the battle. So that's going to use all the movement points, but we have to resolve this combat, and they really want to hope that the battle continues. I think it will, because even if these units, well, they'll have to survive too. They'll still take hits. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put these up here to show that they can't fire, but we need to see what their values are, because I think they can still take hits. Yeah, so basically they're hoping that one of these units survives. So let's go ahead and put our combat marker out to show that Berlin is under attack. So let's see. We will start now. There is a fortress in Berlin. So that's going to be firing. The fortress is going to fire at the ground units. So targeting, he's get 1d6. The Germans get to fire 1d6 targeting the ground units of the Soviets. He's looking for, what is he looking for? 4 or less. And he manages to score a hit. So one of these units gets weakened. We'll weaken the, we're going to weaken the armor unit to 2. So the fortress has fired. The next in line are the air forces. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 Air Force units. There are no Air Force units for the Soviets. So the Air Force is going to fire at ground units. And I said there are 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now they're looking for just only a 1 will hit here. So why not try? And a complete miss. Nothing doing there. So the German Air Force misses. And so we had Air Force. Now there is a fleet in here. There's a size 2 fleet, and it can fire at ground units. It's got to get a 1 to hit as well. And let me check the technologies to make sure there's nothing else that can change that. There's not. So they're simply going to fire 2d6 at the ground unit. So here's the fleet firing, looking for ones. Complete miss. No surprise there. And now we go to the armored units. The armored unit, there is one armored unit in there for the Germans. So it will get to fire first. It's looking for 1 or 2 to hit. And that is a complete miss. So now we go to the Soviets, who have 2 armored, but only 1 can fire, and it can fire 2d6, so it's returning fire, looking for 1 or 2 to hit. And that's a complete miss. So that's the armor. Now we go to infantry, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 d6 worth of infantry fire, looking for 3 or less to hit. What is that? That's 2 hits. So 2 hits on the Soviets. So we're gonna do. Let's see. We'll take it off the one that hasn't. The ones that can't fire. So there's 2 hits off of those invasion forces. And now the Soviets get to return fire. They have 3 pips they can fire, 3d6 they can fire. They're looking for a 3 or less. There's 1 hit, so that comes off of a German unit. And they've got a size 2 here that they can reduce to 1. That is it for combat. So the Soviets held on there, which is what they wanted to do. So Berlin is under threat of being overrun by the Soviets. So that is it for the Soviet spring card. And now we go to the Germans. And what do they want to do? They get, let's bring out our d6. They can move 4. They're going to, so that's woods between, forest between Czechoslovakia and Warsaw. They're going to move these 2 units into Warsaw. They're going to try a flanking maneuver. Maybe they can damage those Soviet forces before they get into Berlin. And so that's 1 move. Now that's going to be another battle. And then, well, actually that's 2 moves. So now we're down to 2. And then they're going to bring in this armor into Berlin and this infantry into Berlin. So it's all or nothing at this point. All of these units are coming into Berlin. This big blob. And now let's see. So that's 2. That's it for movement. And now we're going to have to resolve the battles. So we're definitely going to continue that one, and we're going to initiate a new one. So let's start with the new one. So now the Germans are coming in. No fortresses. There's no air force. So the tanks are the next units to fire. The Germans do have first fire, so they're going to get to fire their 4 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're looking for 1 or 2s to hit. So here they go. And they managed to get 1 hit. And that'll just come off of one of these infantry units. So the armor has fired, and now we go to the infantry. So the infantry units, the Germans will fire first again, looking for 3 or less. And there's 1 more hit. That's not good enough, I'm afraid. All right, so the infantry is fired. Now the Soviet infantry can fire, and they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. My goodness. So let's see, I have 10 Soviet dice. There's 5. I need 1 more red die. Is there 1 in there? No. Grab 1 more. We got 1 more, so that's going to be 10. And they're looking for 3 or less. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like 5 hits and 5 misses. So 5 hits. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they're just going to eliminate the armored unit. And that is going to be it for that battle. So it'll continue on. And then they're going to continue this one. We'll do another round of this. All these blobs are in here. And now I'm checking because can these units now participate in this battle? So let's look at the rule book. It says, looking at sea invasions, so they've landed, invasion disruption, invading ground units can take no combat action, fire or retreat in the combat phase of that player turn. So I'm thinking that's just the Soviet player, right? Because he did his combat turn. But now we moved on to the German turn and looking at the sequence of play chart just at the season. So you have a season. So the first player goes, that's his turn. The second player goes, that's his turn. So it tells me that they can now actively combat, of that player turn. So I think I'm reading that right. So I'm thinking now these are active in this battle. So here we go again. Let's clear out all these red D6. So we do have a fortress again because they're still in Berlin. So that fortress is going to fire at ground units. And there's only one, looking for 4 or less to hit. That's a hit on a ground unit, and it's got to be the strongest ground unit for the Soviets. We'll just take it off of this infantry. All right, so that was fortress. Then we come down to fleet is the next thing. So we still have a fleet in there, throwing 2d6. Got to get a 1 to hit. Nope. So the next thing on our list is our tanks. The Germans can fire first. They have 2 tanks. 2d6, looking for a 1 or 2 to hit ground units. And it looks like that is 1 hit. So the Soviets will take it off of an armored unit here. And now the Soviets can return fire. They have 3 points, or 3d6 they can fire back, looking for 1 or 2s to hit. 2 hits, so that's 2 ground units worth of damage. So are they all 1? They are all 1, so the Germans will choose to remove an armor and an infantry. Now we go to the, let's see, do they want to remove an armored infantry? And yeah, we'll leave that as it is. I was going to say because their infantry are firing now, they could have taken both armor out, but I'm going to leave an armor in there just in case. So infantry, the Germans have 1, 2, 3. They're going to roll 3d6, looking for 3 or less to hit. Complete miss. And now the Soviets are going to fire back. They only have 2 infantry, but that's 4 dice worth of infantry. They fire back looking for 3 or less. That is 1 hit. So 1 more ground unit is gone. And they will pull out the armored unit. Do they want to pull out the armored unit? No, let's pull out one of the infantry units. And now I believe we are at the end of that battle. So now this battle is still ongoing for Berlin. These units are all part of that, this big blob here. And so that's going to be the spring command card for the Germans. And that's going to end the spring phase. Now we're going to go into summer, starting with the West. Going to pass. And we're going to come back to the Germans. Where'd my marker go? Probably should be moving the marker. Do they want to play a summer card? They absolutely do. And they're going to play a C6 summer card. Then we go to the Soviets, and they want to play a summer card, I bet. And they only have 1, so they're going to have to play the P10 card. All right, the Germans get to go first, so let's see what they want to do. They are going to, really not anything they can do. I guess we could bring this fleet. If we bring it into battle, it could go 1, 2. How far can fleets move? 3, so they could probably get in there. Let me see. I can't really see what the borders look like there. This fleet is in here, so it could go. Yeah, it could definitely get into there. So I'm going to say they're going to bring that fleet around. I'm looking, now that I look at this, I was saying this was a fleet. That's a submarine. So luckily it didn't hit anything, but that is a sub, and it should not have been firing because submarines have 0 against ground units. So that's my bad. So let's bring the fleet around. Just one move. And I'm going to get the sub out of there so it doesn't confuse me anymore. We'll just say it moves out here into the North Sea. It was at level 2. Where's this fighter at? Was the fighter? I think he was in Berlin. Yeah, that fighter was in Berlin. He's not in. There's only one unit left over in Warsaw. These are all in Berlin. Everybody basically that's in Germany is in Berlin. So, all right, we've moved all we want to move. Now we want to resolve. Well, let's see. Have we moved everybody we want to move? I think we may. Well, let's just leave him in there. He's going to try to take out as many as he can. So let's resolve. We'll start here with this one. So let's resolve this one first for the Germans. And infantry for the Germans has first fire, so he'll roll 1d6 looking for a 3 or less. He does manage to score a hit. So let's just reduce this size 3 to a size 2. And now the Soviets will return fire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many are in there? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Again, looking for 3 or less. Are 4 or 5. Yeah, enough to destroy this unit. That is gone. This battle is resolved. They did manage to damage a unit, though, and that's really what they wanted to do. And then now here, we're going to have to resolve this. So starting with the fortress again, it is looking for a 4 or less to hit a ground unit. And it misses. And then we go to the fleet is next. So there's a fleet in there for real, but again, he's got to get a 1 to hit. But he doesn't. And then now we're down to the armored units, the tanks. There are only 1 armored unit for the Germans remaining, so he's got to get a 1 or 2. Miss. And now the Soviets return fire with 3, looking for a 1 or 2. And that is a 1, so it's 1 hit on a ground unit. The strongest one they have, well, they're all. We're going to take out this armored unit. All right, so that was armor, and now we're down to infantry. The Germans have 1, 2 infantry. And you know what? Did I do air? I don't think I did air. I think I skipped right past air. The air should have got to fire. So there's 7 air. Let's go ahead and do that. Not too late. And they have to get a 1 to hit a ground unit. Of course they missed. So it didn't matter anyway that I missed that. All right, so now we go to infantry. The Germans have 1, 2 infantry units that can fire 2d6, looking for 3 or less. That's a hit, so that's going to come off the strongest unit. So that's either going to be a armor. So they're going to take off the armor, take it down to 1. Now the Soviet infantry, they get 4d6 firing back, looking for 3 or less. That's 2 hits, so 2 more land units, or actually 2 more ground units. Does the fortress go first? I think the fortress gets destroyed first. I probably should have been doing that all along. I probably should have removed that first. Again, I'm not sure. The rulebook says reduce the strongest unit by 1, and I don't know if they're referring to number of pips or order on this chart or both. So I'm just going to take the fortress out. Actually, see, the fortress has a better chance of hitting, though, if I leave it. I'm going to say that I'm going to take the one of these infantry units out. Let me check that again. Let me check let me see the playthrough book. Had an example of the fortress, although I don't think it was quite one like this where he had a few units in there. I think it's it was a Barcelona example here. Yeah, I'm not sure because in that example there's only one fortress and nothing else in there. I'm going to say that I can choose the strongest CV level. So it's these being equal. There's 2 infantries at 1 and the fortress at 1. I'm going to remove an infantry unit. Let me know in the comments below if that's legal or not. I may ask the question on Board Game Geek because I'm not really sure about that. Okay, so that was the end of the battle, I believe, because that was the last of the infantry for the Soviets to fire. So let's reshuffle, or not reshuffle, reorganize all these. What's going on in Berlin here? So we'll put that back down. That's the Summer Command card for the Germans, and I think that's everything, right? We had no ongoing battles elsewhere. So now we go to the Soviets, and they're gonna, let's see, where's my, I don't think I need my D10 for this. They are going to move in. So again, it's 2 across the border. So they're going to bring in this size 3 infantry and this size 2 infantry. That's all that can go in there, I believe. Could do the coastal invasion thing again with these 2 units. Maybe we want to do that. So let's do that. We're going to put these up here to show that they are now, as part of the Summer Command, they're entering the Baltic Sea and then doing an invasion, but they won't get to participate this time. So let's now go back to resolving battles. So we'll start here. And again, we have a fortress in there for the Germans, which gets to fire first, looking for 4 or less to hit. That's a miss. Next up are the air forces. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 air forces. They have got to get a 1 to hit a ground unit. They managed to get 1 hit out of all that, so we'll just take it off of this strongest infantry unit. Okay, that was the air forces. Now we go to the fleet. There's 1 fleet. Got to get a 1 to hit. Misses. Now we're down to the tanks. And I think the Germans are fresh out of tanks. But the Soviets aren't. They've got 1, 2 tanks. Got to get a 1 or 2 to hit. So there's 1 more hit. And we're going to take that off of the fortress. Now we go to infantry. The Germans fire first with their 1 measly infantry left. Miss. Now the Soviets are going to fire with 2, 4, 6, 8. So 2, 4, 6, 8. 3 or less to hit. I see 2 hits, and that is enough to destroy this infantry unit. So that was a 1 infantry unit, so there were 3 hits, so 1 hit left over. Does that get applied to the fleet? Looking at the combat chart, no, they can't attack fleets, so that was it for the combat. That was it for the Soviet infantry. They fired. And now I think what happens, I think Berlin might have just fell. I know the planes have got to come out of there. So these would fly back to the Ruhr. And I'm pretty sure that fleet's got to get out of there as well. ANS forced retreats. At the end of a land combat round, combat phase or supply phase, ANS units must retreat from enemy territory if without ground support from battles where enemy ground support is present and friendly ground support is not. Units forced to retreat have no value. Yeah, so they're going to have to retreat out of there. So that's this was the fall of Berlin. This unit's going to have to come out and also go into the Ruhr. Oh, well, this also is Berlin. So the capital city has fallen here. Let's get that rule book back out again. So what does it mean when the capital falls? All right, so the Russians have taken Berlin. Now, what does that mean in game terms? When a great power's capital is captured, the units still stay out there and they're still able to fight and continue on, but they can't produce. Because remember that all of your resources have to go back to your main capital city for your power, and if it's occupied, then you can't get it back there. So they would not be able to produce anything. They would still be able to fight on with whatever units they have. In this case, it's a joke because they only have air and sea power. Well, they do have some Italian stuff down here as well, but they would be wiped out quickly. But they can play on and they can try to take back their capital. But what it does mean is that the Soviets get 3 population. So they're on 17, so that's going to go to 20. They do get the population. They will get 1 more resource, so that's going to get that up to 19. And they have occupied Berlin. Let's get that out of there. And that's it for that summer card they played. And that will do it for the summer phase. No blockade. Well, we check for blockade, and like I said, the Germans are blockaded totally. They lost their capital. So we go into the fall. The West will certainly pass. The Germans, they're going to pass. And let's see something here. Yeah, the Soviets are just going to pass because I think this is a game over. Winter phase, everybody's passing, and that is that. So there you go. So let's see who won. I mean, I think the Soviets won, but the game is ending. They've only taken the main capital, and remember to win a military victory, and I'll confirm this in the rule book here on page 19. I think they've got to have another sub-capital. So now looking at the victory conditions for a military victory, a faction that controls 2 rival main capitals, sub-capitals at the same time, that would mean they would need to control 1 other capital on the board, and the only thing, the nearest one actually is the Ruhr. So wait a minute here, maybe they actually want to do this. Maybe we're still in the fall phase here, and maybe they did want to play a fall card, because if they go in there and take the Ruhr, it's game over, and they do have a fall card, so yeah, they're going to play that. And it's kind of, well, we'll go through the motions here. So it's the fall turn, and they'd be crazy not to invade the Ruhr. So they're gonna march everything except this one of these armored units, because they want to retain control of Berlin. So all these units are now marching into Ruhr. And if they take it, then by default they'll win the game, and the West is screwed. So let's go ahead and do it. So starting with the air first, there's still 7 air units, or D6 worth of firepower in there. So there's 7. They got to roll a 1 to hit, so they're going to fire. Looking for 1s. They better hope they're all 1s. And, well, they got 3 1s. That's about the best they've done in a while, so that's just going to reduce 1, 2. And the West is hoping that the Soviets actually lose this. 3. So the air has fired, and next thing on the list will be fleets. So that 1 fleet for it's not a submarine, no, the 1 fleet for the Germans fire, it's got to get a 1. It does roll a 1. Okay. So now they're down to 1. Okay, so that was the fleets have fired. The air has fired. And so the infantry now can only target the air units in there. And the tanks cannot target air. They can only target ground, no ships. So the tanks can't fire. So yeah, it's just infantry. And they're going to fire 1, 2, 3, 4 D6. And they're firing these at the air units. So wait a minute. That was infantry firing at air. They have to get a 1. So they did get 2 hits. So they knocked out 2 air units. Or rather, they knocked down 2 air units, I should say. So these just go down to level 2. Infantry's fire. So that is it. So it does mean, though, that these aircraft have to rebase. They're going to go to Munich. And that ship's got to get out of there. It's going to have to it'll go to Denmark. And the Soviet steamroller pushes into the Ruhr, which is now a sub-capital. So we go through the winter and nothing. The game is ended. So it does end with a Soviet victory. And they were able to steamroll into Berlin and push right on into the Ruhr and get the main capital and a sub-capital to win the game. Now, just for curiosity's sake, economic-wise, how did the West fare? They did manage to get atomic research up to 2, so I think it's +1 per level. Yeah, so their lowest production, so 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, plus 2 for the atomic, 24. That's not bad. The Soviets, even though they won already, but let's just see what their economic score ended up being. So they are at 14, 15 for the atomic, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then, of course, the Germans are just toast. They don't, they're at 12 and they have no atomic research at all. And 2 peace dividend points. So that's it. The Soviets have won. And the West thought they might have stood a chance there peace-wise, but maybe they should have gone on the attack. All right, so just some final thoughts here on what I thought of the game. As from a solitaire point of view, I think this game, you play it like I do, where you can see all the forces. There's no hidden information, but I still think it's really, really fun. And if you play it from a narrative point of view, it's even more fun. This game, if it had been a multiplayer game, you would have had the hidden units. It probably would have gone a lot differently. Even if you played multiplayer with the units revealed, it would have gone differently. And probably as the West, I probably should have, when these two started slugging it out, it might have been in the best interest of the West to maybe attack the Germans, because they could have come in and grabbed, they might have been able to come in and grab Ruhr or Berlin from behind, who knows. So I played them very pacifist, so maybe that was a mistake. Although, like I said, they got 24 points. So if you get 25 points, it's an automatic victory as well. So they'd gone one more turn. This hadn't happened. They might have won. So it was pretty close, the West and the Soviets. But the Soviets, I mean, the Germans had such bad dice rolls that it killed them. And these white dice are suspect now. I don't know if I should be using those white dice for the Germans. But yeah, this game is a lot of fun. I will be taking this game down to the Armchair Dragoons Fall In, which is in October of this year. So if you're in Cary, North Carolina, come by and play it. It'll be running 3 sessions of this. It's a teaching game, so we will teach the rules and everyone will start at the beginner level. A lot of fun. I really do like this game. I'm looking forward to Conquest and Consequence now, which is the Pacific version of this. There is a module that lets you, I won't say a module, it's actually written rules that the designer has posted on Board Game Geek, where you can actually play now both of these games simultaneously. So you can have the Pacific Theater and the European Theater all at once. And I'm not going to do that. I will play Conquest and Consequences by itself. So we'll do the Pacific Theater at some point. Really fun game. I love the way diplomacy works in this. Yeah, the military is abstracted pretty high, but it's done in a way that it feels right. It makes sense. When you get a game that's this high up strategically, it's hard to model the forces closely to what actually happened. But I think it does a pretty good job. You get the feel for it at least. So yeah, there you go. Triumph and Tragedy. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. Leave your thoughts down below, what you think about the game. If clarifications on some of those rules that I was asking, let me know what those are down below. And I think the biggest question I had was concerning, well, one of them was when you take these countries, does the control marker change? And I think it does. Honestly, I think Hungary probably should have flipped to Soviet control when they rolled in there, then probably changed back to German when they got pushed back out. But yeah, that's it. Like the video if you like what I did here. Subscribe if you haven't, because you subscribe, you'll get notification when Conquest and Consequence gets posted. Now, I do have some other stuff coming up here pretty soon. Look for that as well. Get notified about that when it shows up. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you back here next time.